right. So video number 1 of what might be an infinite series of videos. We'll see what ends up coming through. And these are, at least this series, I think will be musings on what I've experienced over my lifetime of exploring my mind and my consciousness, and probably as well some tools in terms of what I've found useful for doing things like reprogramming mental emotional triggers, or really effectively learning from the past, and also from past failures, but also from success, because a lot of times when we win, we don't necessarily study it and really come to understand why we win. But today I'm going to just start with a really fundamental exercise that for me was inspired by some teachers like Muji, for example. I've been exploring these things for 15 or so years now, so I don't remember exactly all the influences, but a lot of books on consciousness. Eckhart Tolle, with his concept that you are not your thoughts, that was a big influence on this about 15 years ago for me. But this little, what I call a non-dual meditation, I found it really interesting because it's helped to allow me to open to humility in my day-to-day life. And by humility, I mean, that's just one word to describe a whole way of being, a way of perceiving the world, which entails things like feeling an acceptance of whatever it is that happens on a day-to-day basis. So that would be a facet of humility to me. Others would be humility recognizing that what other people do to me, or whatever they're expressing, is what is appropriate or perfect for right now. So yeah, it's like a humility and acceptance kind of go hand in hand to me. And so I'm going to launch into this little meditation here, and at the end of it I'll explain why I think it's relevant to pretty much everything that we seem to do as men and women in this world of figures, labels, forms in our doings day to day. So there may be one component prior to this meditation that might be helpful for you, depending on where you're at in your exploration of consciousness, and that is just developing a relationship with silence. So do you ever have a moment where you're just here and there's no mental activity? You're just existing, and there's nothing going on in the mental, and there's typically a sense of peace with that. So do you have a relationship with that? If you do, great. That'll lead into this meditation that we're going to do. If you don't, then it might be worth exploring that. Ways you can do it, if you feel it's for you, is if you go out for a walk and you see a lamppost a block up, go, hey, maybe I'm going to try and just experience silence until that next lamppost and see what that feels like. Or another doorway into that is, for a lot of people, is just sitting and really giving full focus to the breath and just watching that breathing apparatus do its thing, like it does all the time for us, what we're not even aware of half the time. So developing a relationship with silence is core to this meditation, which I'm about to do, because I'll show you why, and here we go into it. So the meditation is an exploration of how my mind, my faculties of thought work. And the exercise is, in whatever way you do, get into a space of inner presence and silence. And then once you're there, then see if you can choose the content of your next thought. So you're in silence, and then at some point you'll probably have a thought, unless you exist in a different kind of experience than I do. But see if, when that thought comes up, if you can actually choose what's in that thought, or whether it's just, so do you choose it, or is it just something arising, and is it, banana? Oh, okay, my next thought was banana. Can I choose banana? Or so explore what your experience is with this. Can you choose the content, or can you not choose it? And is it just arising spontaneously? So let's do that on camera for a few minutes together, and then I'll debrief after, and you can comment what your experience was if you like. So here we go, and I will grab my phone and time it for 5 minutes. right. So there's 5 minutes. Just make sure this is off.
Were you live? Is that live?
Did I laugh?
Was it live?
Oh, this is live. Oh, no, it's not live on Facebook. No, it's live to us. David McElwain is here doing the meditation with me. Might be interesting to get your experience of it. Do you want to be in, or should I just talk?
It's so easy for me to drop in there.
You don't need to be checking out thoughts.
I gently let them go.
David's saying if he's not coming through on the mic clearly, that he typically lets his thoughts go. He has an easy time doing that, so gently. Yeah, I kind of sink into a pleasant abyss as well in meditation. But I will note, I'll speak on what this, or the meaning of this exercise had for me back in the day when I was just opening to my mind, silence, etc. For me, this was a significant exercise because in my own experience, when I went into the silence and then looked at whatever was coming up, for example, a thought or the sound of a fire truck. We get a lot of them here, a couple a day. At the UUC, we're at the UUC house in Calgary, by the way. So anyway, watching my thoughts come up, when that impulse of thought would come out of silence, no matter what it is, whether it's a thought being like, yeah, I'm going to choose my next thought, or I'm thinking about, there's a thought arising in front of me here about a memory from yesterday, or whatever it might be. My conclusion, based on studying that really for myself, was that I could never choose the content of my next thought. Something would come up and it would always be presented. And the relevance of that is that if it's the case that I never choose the content of my next thought, at least at a mental level, maybe at some other intuitive level I do, but it was basically an entryway into a really experiential, some experiential insight to the question of free will, in the sense that if I can't choose the content of my next thought, which was my experience and has been, I haven't since been able to feel like I actually choose the content of my next thought, then what am I really responsible for? And I know that there's a whole, life is so interesting because there's the other side of the coin as well. This idea of taking full self-responsibility for my part in everything. So if I have an argument, seemingly an argument with someone, or even things go really well, I'm having a lot of joy with the people I'm engaging with, my projects are going really well, I'm seeing a lot of competence in myself. One school of thought is, okay, I take personal responsibility for that. Personal, which, by the way, persona has to do with fiction, persona, fiction. So if I take responsibility for that, then there are lessons to be learned, such as, okay, well, how can I do better? So that's empowering from the point of view of a man or woman. How can I do better? How can I work with what my triggers maybe are in a relationship so that I can be clear and calm? And then I don't have to deal with the other or the externals, except maybe through communicating in an effective way. So take responsibility for everything that I have responsibility for. Like, God, grant me what is the prayer? It's on the wall here, but it's not in my line of sight. Grant me the strength to change the things that I can change, the humility to let go of the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, great. Taking responsibility for I is beautiful. But interestingly, on the other flip side of this, I found it interesting to contemplate on the idea that if I can't choose the content of my next thought, then actually everything is spontaneously arising throughout my entire existence. And so all of these things that seemingly so serious that I did is really the universe just happening. And that's maybe a significant tidbit of consideration to take with you throughout your day if you resonate with that. So thanks for joining me here, and I look forward to being with you now. Catch you soon.